Hello, everyone. My friends, I'm going to begin today's episode with something a little emotional, a thought that I've been reflecting on for a long time, something I've wrestled with for quite a while. In our lives, there are times when we accidentally harm ourselves. We don't think those little actions are serious, but the truth is they are serious. Some of the things we do, without even realizing it, make us lazier, less focused, less creative, and less determined. Little by little, our energy for life just keeps dropping lower and lower and lower. In other words, we end up, in some ways, destroying our own brain with these unconscious habits. And that's the real danger, because if we're doing something harmful on purpose, at least we know we're doing it and we can stop. But if it's unintentional, how can we recognize it, let alone fix it? That's why today's topic is all about this. How we unintentionally damage our brain and our willpower. To make it easier for you to follow along, I'll divide the episode into two main parts. The first part will be about the causes and the consequences of these habits we repeat every day, the ones that quietly damage our mind, our focus, and our determination. And the second part, I'll give you 7 practical solutions to overcome this damage. My hope is that this episode will be genuinely helpful for you. So let's dive right in. What exactly is causing us to unintentionally destroy our brain, literally and figuratively? And not only that, but also dragging down our willpower, our determination, and our drive? All of it gets pulled down just because of one simple action, one little habit we repeat daily, and the outcome we suffer because of it feels ridiculously unfair. So we need to identify it, and once we identify it, we need to fix it. That's it. Plain and simple. So, what is this sneaky culprit? Well, it comes down to a phrase with just 4 words. At first, when you hear it, it'll sound harmless. But as I walk you through it, you'll see the full picture, from the small consequences to the big ones, and you'll realize how so many failures in life are tied back to this phrase. That phrase is refusing to think. That's the key word every one of us needs to remember, and more importantly, needs to overcome. The principle behind it is actually very simple. The less we use our brain, the weaker it becomes. Period. Absolutely true, right? And when our brain becomes weaker, it's not just in a metaphorical sense. Look, it's literally weaker. Of course, we all want a peaceful, easy life, right? We all want to avoid tough problems, don't we? We hope life won't throw too many headaches our way. That's natural. But honestly, that tendency can be very dangerous. Because if you don't regularly use your mind, if you don't challenge your brain, if you don't keep pushing yourself to think, to wrestle with problems, and to find your own solutions, then your life is going to pay the price. And the consequences, they're exactly what I mentioned earlier. We become lazy, less focused, less creative, and less determined. A whole chain reaction of negative effects. And let's go even deeper. Let me ask you this directly, because maybe up until now, you haven't really connected this with your own life. How many of you struggle to come up with solutions for your own problems, and instead you rely on other people's voices when it comes to making big decisions? Things like choosing your school, your career, the person you love, the job you take, even the hobbies you follow. For most people, not everyone, but most, those choices are just copies of someone else's standard. Listening to this person, following that person, copying what others do, instead of making choices for yourself. That's the reality. And what happens in the end? For so many of us, life ends up feeling like a maze filled with sighs like, I think I chose the wrong career. I think I picked the wrong passion. Maybe I got everything wrong. Right? That's the result of this habit of refusing to think, of avoiding deep thought. I've seen people make major life decisions in ways that honestly give me chills, because it's so clear they didn't think it through. And when you don't think things through, regret is just a matter of time. When you don't think carefully about your decisions, the chances of making the wrong choice are very high. And when you choose wrong, oh, the pain that follows. And all of it stems from that one habit, refusing to think. Now don't worry, in just a bit I'll share 7 solutions with you. But we're not there yet. Right now, we need to dig really deep into the causes and the damage. Because if you don't fully understand the harm, you won't have enough motivation to change. So let me ask you another question. How many of you give up way too easily? Like quitting right after your very first failures? I see it all the time with people starting a business. At the beginning, they're so fired up. But then 1 or 2 weeks in, they hit their first obstacle. Maybe they can't sell anything. Maybe nobody likes their posts. Maybe their online shop gets rejected by the platform. Super common setbacks. And yet, so many people quit right then and there. The mental resilience, the ability to push through is just painfully low. And again, that's a direct result of refusing to think. We've developed a kind of powerless mindset, one that gets eliminated even by the most basic challenges. That's sad. That's how serious the consequences of this habit really are. You can even see it in the little things, like when someone tries raising a plant or keeping a fish as a pet. And then, just a few days later, the plant dies, the fish dies, and instead of thinking about how to improve, how to make it work better next time, they just give up. They say things like, "Well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. I'm just unlucky." Too quick to quit. And in this life, being too quick to give up will absolutely destroy your career. Because every success, every single one, is filled with challenges. And if you crumble at the very first challenge, how could you possibly expect to succeed? If you still carry this habit of giving up too easily, I'll be honest with you, you don't have any real chance of success. None. That's how dangerous it is, but that's not all. There's more damage. Let me ask you one more question. Actually, no, let me keep it to just 3 questions, because if I keep asking, some of you might get too shocked or even start feeling hopeless about life. So here's the last one. How many of you can't stay focused for even 10 minutes? You sit down to do something, and within 5 or 7 minutes, your mind starts wandering. You feel bored, restless, like your brain just wants to escape. You can't focus deeply, you can't immerse yourself in the work. Something always distracts you. That's a sign of extremely weak focus. And focus, as you know, is directly tied to the quality of your work and your studies. Poor focus leads to shallow work, weak results. But when you can focus deeply, the quality of your work always goes up, especially for creative work. Isn't that true? And the reality is, so many people simply don't have the ability to focus. That, again, is a consequence of this unconscious habit we've been talking about. The habit of refusing to think. Choosing the easy path, avoiding mental challenges. Over time, we become too weak, too fragile, with almost no resistance and no determination in our own minds. That's why I truly hope all of us can start seeing things differently. That we can say to ourselves, enough is enough. It's time to stop letting our brains stay this weak. It's time to actually do something about it. Because here's the truth, and I know this sounds a little raw, maybe even blunt, but if this continues, your life will fall apart, piece by piece. You won't be able to accomplish anything meaningful. Do you agree? Have you ever stopped to imagine, if your current state of mind continues for another 10 years, do you really think there's a chance your life will turn around? Or will things just get worse and worse over time? So with that, I hope part 1 has made it crystal clear. The real culprit behind the destruction of your brain, your willpower, and your life is just 4 words: refusing to think. And I hope you can also see the heavy consequences of this habit. Honestly, I could go on listing consequences until tomorrow, but I only chose the ones that are easiest for you to see, to feel, to relate to. Hopefully you now realize this is something truly worth paying attention to. And now, we move into part 2. I'm going to share with you 7 ways you can overcome, repair, and prevent this problem. Not just 1 or 2 solutions. 7. Think of it like a buffet. You can pick and choose the dishes that work best for you. Now, you don't have to do all 7 methods. Sometimes just picking one and doing it properly, doing it consistently, doing it persistently, doing it long-term, doing it with grit and determination. That alone is already more than enough. I'm really passionate about this second part, What I'm about to share comes from my own experiences, my own lessons, the things I've studied and the things I've observed in life. And honestly, I'm too eager to wait. I have to jump right in. So here it is, the very first solution. This is the first way we can start fighting back against that sneaky little habit that silently damages our mind every single day. That habit of refusing to think. And the first solution is this. If you can, limit how much short video content you consume. I'm talking about TikTok clips, Instagram Reels, Facebook Watch, YouTube Shorts, all those quick hit videos. These are some of the biggest culprits behind why so many people today have lost the ability to think deeply, lost the ability to ask questions, and have become incredibly passive. Here's why. When you're watching these short videos, yes, each one is short, but the total time you spend watching them is long, because it's not just one or two videos, it's a never-ending stream. They just keep coming, one after another. And the most dangerous part? You're not the one choosing what you watch. Maybe at the very beginning, you pick a couple of videos, but after that, it's all recommendations. You watch one, then another pops up, then another. Which means you've put yourself into a completely passive mode. You're not exercising any willpower, any intention over what you're consuming. They feed it to you and you just accept it. Of course, some videos catch your interest, so you stay a little longer. Others don't, so you skip quickly. But overall, your level of control is almost zero. And you're putting your life into this strange, almost dangerous rhythm, spending hours every day just passively consuming whatever gets thrown at you. Over time, this makes your mind passive. Your brain stops thinking for itself. You just sit there, letting others decide what you watch. Passive, passive, passive. And let's be real, how could you possibly think during this? Each video is so short. Before you even finish processing one, another is already playing. There's no space to reflect, no time to think. It's nonstop. That's why this passivity is so exhausting. It drags you down, and it's not a joke. It's real. And that's not the only problem. Short videos also destroy your ability to focus. They ruin your patience. Why? Because when you're used to consuming videos that last just a few seconds, your brain gets trained that way. You expect everything in life to be quick and easy. And your patience? Gone. Completely wiped out. And then what happens? You bring that same attitude into your work or your studies. After just 2 minutes of trying, you're already restless, already fidgeting. You can't stay still, you can't stay focused. Isn't that true? So please limit it. Seriously. Now listen, if you're already hooked on short videos, I'm not asking you to quit 100% overnight, but at the very least, please limit it. For example, with my own Facebook, I barely use it anymore, and even when I did, I went as far as deleting the watch tab completely. TikTok? I don't touch it. Why? Because I've seen with my own eyes the connection between short videos and the destruction of our brain power. Once I saw that clearly, I made the choice to step away. And here's a trick I think works pretty well if you want to wean yourself off these apps. It's something I call intentional willpower, and the way you measure your progress is by tracking. Go to Google and type in App Usage Tracking App. On iPhones, there's already a built-in feature. On Android, some phones have it by default, some don't. But either way, you can easily install one. Super simple to find. So here's how it works. Let's say you open TikTok. Use the tracking app to keep a log. On January 1st, you might discover you spent 4 hours on TikTok. Then your only goal for January 2nd is to come in under that number. Maybe you use it for 3 hours and 50 minutes. That's progress. On January 3rd, aim for 3 hours and 45 minutes. The rule is simple. Use it as much as you want, but every single day you must use it less than the day before. This way, you train yourself gradually to cut back. And trust me, one day, almost without realizing it, you'll stop using it altogether. That's exactly how I did it, and it works. So that's solution number 1. Clearly explained, with a method you can actually apply. Cut back on short videos. Now, let's move on to solution number 2 out of the 7. And this one is about overcoming the habit of refusing to think by practicing a skill I like to call problem solving through listing. It's super simple. Whatever issue you're facing in your life right now, whatever task you need to get done, give it your time, your energy, your effort. And the easiest way to start thinking about it is make a list of as many answers as possible. The more answers you list, the better. I guarantee you, the more you do this, the sharper your brain becomes, stronger, more resilient, more creative. And here's the best part. You can apply this method to literally any area of your life. Let me give you a simple example. Let's say you have to give a presentation. You could ask yourself the question, how can I make this presentation truly impressive? That's your question. Then your job is to brainstorm and list out as many possible answers as you can. Don't analyze, don't criticize, don't judge, and just list. That's all your brain needs. For example, first idea, do it in an animated style. Imagine every single slide filled with cartoon illustrations. That could be fun. Second idea, rewrite the lyrics of a popular song and turn your presentation into a musical performance. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad, just list it. Third idea, present it in meme style. Use funny, trending internet memes to make your talk fresh and youthful. Fourth idea, turn it into a little play. Get multiple group members to act out a short skit about your topic. That could be really engaging. Fifth idea, go minimalist. Just a few words and strong images on each slide. Kind of like how Steve Jobs used to present. See what I mean? Just by playing around with that little exercise, you already came up with so many different options. And after that, all you need to do is sit back, relax, and pick the style that you like most. That's it. That's the beginning of real brainstorming. That's how you push yourself to actually think, and that's how you make yourself smarter. Once you develop this habit, there won't be a single challenge in your life that you can't find an answer to, from small things to big things. Your mind becomes incredibly strong. Not weak, not fragile, but powerful. Let me give you another example. Let's say some of you move to the city for work or for school, far away from your hometown. And every now and then, you go back to visit your parents. You could ask yourself a question like, what gift should I bring home that would really move my mom and dad? That's your question. Then you think about it, you brainstorm, you list out as many ideas as possible. This is how you apply the method to the tiny little corners of your life. At first, listing ideas might feel tough. But over time, the more you practice, the more ideas will just start flowing. Suddenly, your life becomes a life full of ideas. You move from having a dull, stagnant mind to having a sharp, powerful, creative one. Now, for this second solution, because of time, I'm not going to list everything out for you. That's your job. Remember, raise a question about your problem, then list as many solutions as possible. That's solution number 2. Now let's move on to solution number 3. And this is very personal. It's something I've learned from my own life. Here it is. Whenever you consume content, refuse to consume it too quickly, because the faster you consume, the more passive you become. Take reading, for example. Some people skim and skim and skim through a book. Sure, you might finish fast, but what happens? You end up frustrated because deep down, you didn't actually absorb anything. The same thing happens with videos. I get messages sometimes from people saying, hey, I kind of remember you once made a video about this topic, but I can't recall which one. That's sad, right? They spent all that time watching, but in the end, nothing stuck. It weakens your ability to retain information. That's why so many people study a lot, but don't really improve. Because they rush, they go too fast, and honestly, it doesn't help. Knowledge is like making wine or like fermenting pickles. To get something rich, tasty, and meaningful, it takes time. If you rush it, it's bland and unsatisfying. So here's my suggestion. When you consume information, take it slow. For example, when you read a book and you hit a passage that really speaks to you, stop. Close the book, reflect, imagine. Connect the story to your own life. Enjoy those moments. Don't rush because rushing isn't fun. Reading a book is like traveling. It's like exploring a new world in your imagination, a world of ideas you've never visited before. And let me ask you, who goes on vacation just to run through everything quickly and get it over with? If that's your mindset, then don't even bother traveling, because rushing through a trip ruins it. And it's the same with reading, watching educational videos, or even watching movies. Slow down. Think. Reflect. When something stands out, pause. Let it sink in. Write it down. Analyze it. Connect it directly to your life right there in the moment. And if possible, don't be afraid to go back. Reread the book. Rewatch the video. Replay the scene you love. That's the only way you actually grow. So learn to say no quickly, and if possible, willingly choose the slower option. It's better to be slow in the short term, but long in the long term. What does that mean? For example, reading a book might take you quite a while in the short term, but in the long term, it stays in your mind for a very long time. That's much better than doing the opposite. Skimming through things quickly, only to later ask yourself, wait, did I even read that book? That's boring. Don't do that. All right, this is the fourth way out of the 7 ways, and this one is very simple. What is it? It's asking the question, why? Whenever you see something in life, whether it's bad and negatively affects you or it's good and positively affects you, and you don't know the answer, just try asking, why? This is such a powerful habit. This habit is connected to happiness, it's connected to success. Because most of the success stories, most of the amazing things in life, come from people who could explain and answer the question, why do others do things this way? Only when you can explain why something succeeds or why something fails, can you actually create good things for yourself and avoid the bad ones. That's why you should absolutely keep this habit of asking, why? And please, do me a favor, stay curious. Stay curious about the things that truly matter, the things of value. It will help your life in incredible ways. For example, maybe you're online scrolling and you stumble upon a photo that has thousands of likes and you really love that photo. Right away, you should ask yourself, why? Why is this person's photo so beautiful? Right? From there, break it down. What angle did this person shoot from? How did they adjust the colors? What color tones did they use? What software did they edit with? Keep asking why, and then dig deeper. You can explore by typing the person's account name along with the word style on Google to find out their style. You can study one of their photos closely, looking at the composition, the way they arrange the subject and background, and note it down for yourself. You can scroll through all the comments under that post to see if someone already revealed the answer about the editing style or the color palette. Or, after searching everywhere and still not finding the answer, you can comment directly under the photo or even message the account owner to ask. Or you could even go into photography forums and post, hey, I came across this photo from this account. Does anyone know what editing style, color palette, or software this person is using? That's it. Ask why, and then do everything you can to explore, to dig, to learn. You will end up knowing far more than most people, and that knowledge, that curiosity, becomes your capital for success. All right, here we go. This is the 5th method out of the 7. And this one, I personally use it every single day. What is it? Writing. Writing and trying to write as much as possible. Writing is such a powerful workout for your brain because the truth is you can't write if your head is completely empty. You have to remember this. Words must exist in your mind first. Only then can they flow onto the paper. Only then can they show up on your notes. But if there are no words inside your head and you just scribble randomly, it'll go nowhere. That's why writing is such a great way to train your thinking, to exercise your brain, and I really encourage everyone to write every day. You can even write based on questions you ask yourself. For example, how do I feel today? That's enough to start. Just write about your emotions. Write about what happened. Write about your thoughts. Write as much as you can. At first, maybe you'll only manage a few sentences, but keep at it. It will grow into a few hundred words, then a few thousand. Almost every day I write. What you see me post on Facebook is just a small portion. The majority of my writing is actually for myself. And I write daily because it's like exercise for my brain. Someone who can write clearly is someone who can think clearly. That person knows what comes first, what should come next, what belongs in the middle. Writing forces you to organize your ideas, and naturally, your communication skills get better. Now, I'm not claiming to be an outstanding writer. I'm not saying I'm a perfect communicator. But I can confidently tell you this. I know what should come first. I know what should come after. I know how to structure ideas, how to say or write something that captures attention. That much, I know. And all of that builds up a brain that's at least decent. Not too passive, not too sluggish. That's the beauty of writing. So start writing now, my friends. Seriously. All right, now let's move on to the sixth method. This one builds on the fifth. If the fifth is about writing more, then the sixth is this. Alongside writing more, speak more. And especially, build the habit of thinking before you speak, then speak more often. Particularly in social situations, when you're at a coffee shop with friends, for example, talk more. Don't cling to your phone. Put it away. Talk. Practice listening. When someone shares something with you, pause to really think about their message. And then think about how you want to respond. That's thinking. That's using your brain. And that's how you develop emotional agility and mental flexibility. When you start practicing this, your mind levels up. And the more you do it, the faster your reactions become. The more empathetic you become, and people will enjoy being around you. That's a clear sign your brain is sharpening. The key is focus. Put away your phone. Focus on the conversation. Conversation here means speaking. Maybe they're speaking, maybe you're speaking, but the important thing is you give all your attention to that moment. Don't let yourself get distracted, and over time your brain gets sharper, quicker, better. Trust me on that. In any kind of conversation, put your phone away. Focus on what the other person is saying. Give them your full attention, and train your mind to respond with at least one sentence. It can be short, that's fine. The point is to connect, to empathize with them. Keep practicing this. Push your brain to do it over and over. And you'll notice at some point it becomes so natural that you don't even need to say much anymore. All right, and now we've come to the seventh way, the last one. And honestly, I've already shared this one in another episode before, but you know what? This habit has been part of my life for a very long time, and it's one of the ones I truly cherish. So there's really no reason why I shouldn't repeat it here. Let me just go over it again, quickly. It's the combo of reading and walking, reading a book, and then going for a walk to think about what you just read. This is how I train myself. I make use of my walking time so that it becomes more meaningful, and at the same time, it strengthens my mind. The method is very simple. Let's say you just finished reading a section of a book, maybe 30 minutes of reading. Close the book, then go for a 30-minute walk, and during that walk, just think about what you've just read. That's it. You can recall the content, you can expand your imagination, you can comment on it in your own mind. Just 30 minutes of that, and you'll notice something amazing. You'll actually retain much more of the book than you would otherwise. You'll go beyond the surface of what's written. You'll remember it for a very long time. It imprints itself deeply in your mind, and you'll develop these very unusual, profound layers of understanding that you simply can't get if you're just sitting still, reading. For those of you who have already tried this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For those who haven't, give it a try. Stick with it for a while. There's so much enjoyment, so much discovery waiting for you. And with that, you've just listened to one of my most heartfelt sharings. Now, you know which habits you may have been unconsciously allowing to destroy your brain, your willpower, and your inner strength. And you also know 7 carefully chosen, simple ways to fix those bad habits. I truly hope this episode has been helpful to you. This one turned out to be quite a long one, didn't it? Thank you so much for staying with me, for listening closely all the way through. And now it's time for us to say goodbye for today. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel to support me, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the valuable content coming next. Thank you so much.